Okay, so today we're diving into something uh, pretty complex.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about Western companies in Russia.
Right.
So you shared some excerpts from an article
Yeah.
with me called, well, we won't name the article, but
Yeah.
it's basically about how Putin is encouraging Western companies to go back to Russia, which, I mean, it's pretty crazy considering everything that's going on. I mean,
Right.
why would he want them back, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you have to think back to like right after the invasion of Ukraine.
Yeah.
Hundreds of Western companies pulled out. I
Yeah.
mean, they were facing a ton of pressure, morally, economically.
Sure.
These were big, recognizable brands, too, the ones you see every day.
Right, right.
And then the West came in with sanctions, which were just this like tangled web of economic restrictions.
Yeah.
And it basically created this like economic standoff.
And so right in the middle of all this,
Yeah.
the article mentions this meeting, right? Between the U.S. and Russia.
In February, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it was Lavrov on the Russian side and Marco Rubio representing the U.S. side.
Interesting.
And it's like, I don't know, kind of ironic, right?
Yeah.
They're talking about a potential deal, some kind of rapprochement, but the conflict is still raging on.
Right.
And then there's the whole thing about Russia potentially offering access to their natural resources.
Yeah.
And maybe even opening up the Arctic region.
It's like a geopolitical and economic balancing act.
Totally. Yeah. So the article goes on to say that Putin is offering, quote, certain advantages to Russian firms if Western companies decide to come back. What do you think he means by that?
It's hard to say for sure, but, he's got to be thinking about the Russian economy.
Right.
It took a hit after all those companies left.
Sure, of course.
So maybe these advantages mean putting limits on how Western companies operate there.
Like making them play by a different set of rules.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or it could be like giving Russian businesses an edge in certain industries.
Oh, so it's not just about welcoming them back with open arms.
No, not really. It's more like come back, but on our terms.
Okay, so it's like a power play.
Yeah, you could see that.
But this isn't just about the economics, right?
No, definitely not.
The article talks about data from the Kiev School of Economics.
Well,
They say thousands of companies have either fully pulled out
right.
or scaled back their operations. It's clear there's a human cost here, too.
Absolutely. And on top of that, the Kremlin hasn't made it easy for these companies to leave.
Oh,
They've put up all these bureaucratic roadblocks, like needing special approvals, selling assets at a discount.
Wow.
Oh, and then there's the exit tax.
The exit tax, was
Yeah,
it?
it's this huge fee they slap on companies selling their assets in Russia.
Seriously.
Like sometimes it's 10% of the sale value.
So it's basically like punishing them for leaving.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
It's a way for Russia to discourage companies from leaving and to, profit from their departure.
Wow, that's harsh. And didn't they also go as far as seizing assets from some companies?
Yeah, that happened too, especially with subsidiaries of companies that decided to stick around. It sends a pretty clear message, don't you think?
Like, don't mess with us.
Exactly. They're showing they're not afraid to retaliate against anything they see as an economic threat.
So it's basically economic warfare.
Exactly. It's all about using economic leverage as a weapon. The West freezing Russian assets and Russia responding with things like the exit tax and asset seizures. It's all part of this bigger economic conflict.
This is crazy. It's like economics and geopolitics are completely intertwined here.
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch, but in a disturbing way.
Totally. And what I find even more confusing is that some companies are still doing business in Russia, despite all this.
Yeah, that's the ethical tightrope these companies are on, trying to balance making money with, the damage it can do to their reputation.
Right.
And then there's the legal stuff and, the moral questions of doing business with a country involved in a conflict.
Yeah, I mean, the article mentions these dilemmas, but doesn't really give any examples.
Well, there's that one, remember? The food and beverage company.
Oh, yeah.
They decided to stay, but scaled back their operations.
Right.
And they got a ton of backlash for it. People were saying, you're supporting the regime just by being there.
Yeah, that's a tough one. What did they say about it?
They defended themselves by saying they were providing essential goods to the Russian people.
It's complicated, for sure. No easy answers.
It's a reminder that these global situations, business and politics mixed together, they're messy.
Totally. So, to recap, we've got Putin wanting Western companies to come back, but on his terms.
Right.
And he's making it super hard for them to leave.
And all of that, begs the question, could the return of these companies, even if it's under these, unfavorable conditions, could it actually end up helping the Russian economy?
And possibly even prolong the conflict. So we've covered the economic side, the political side, but there's also the ethical side to consider. It's a lot to think about.
Definitely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We encourage you to, keep learning about this. It's an important topic.
Yeah, for sure.
And we'll see you next time.
See you then.